Namaste. Blessed love and peace in Rastafari. Hetche. This is a 1 hour walkthrough of the Qur'an. This is session numero 3. And this includes the Suras, chapters 6 a 23. That is Surah Anam 2 and through Surah Al-Mu'minun 23 to 23, 6 to 23. So again, this is the third session. Previous description and notes and context are articulated in the first session as well as in the second session. What I will say here is that amidst the conclusion of this session, inshallah, basically, it's generally understood, as I recall, that we complete over half the text of the Quran. There are 114 surahs, 114 surahs or chapters within the Quran. However, much of the text of the Quran is actually included within the first few surahs, such that by this point, 23 thereabouts, already half of the Quran is completed. So, with that, we begin with a blessing. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allah wabha. Dao ke dao fe chang dao. Min ke min fe chang min. Ja Rastafari. Deus nos te quies in cele santa vacita nomen tuum. Vaheguru sanam. Baruch ata Elohim Eloheinu melech haolam asher kasanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'sok b'divrei Torah. Amen. Kyrie eleison, sevomastu savajagatehe, save sata bavantu sukitata. Vagabiyam. Aquaba upendo namane, fakir nesalami. Chinta dam per me lebov me womajaka. Ubuntu shabona fakitka. Shishin, Kamasunida, Domo, Arigato, Pilama, Yellow Walk, Toko, Shingu. Go the God, we thank you for all that you bless us. Ata Jamia Yatafinami. Mado, Aho, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So, Surah Al-Anam translates to the cattle. Again, each of the surahs begins with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Verse 1 begins with Praise be to Allah who created the heavens and the earth and made the darkness and the light, yet those who reject faith hold others as equal with their guardian Lord. Allah it is who created you from clay and then decreed a stated term for you, and there is in Allah's presence another determined term, yet ye doubt within yourselves. And Allah is Allah in the heavens and on earth. Allah knoweth what ye hide and what ye reveal, and Allah knoweth the recompense which ye earn by your deeds. So there's reference to the experience of previous generations, the challenges, the doubts, the rejections, the mockery, and then the guidance to observe, to investigate, to study those previous interactions, and then also with the conditions of today. And then when being confronted with skepticism, criticism, to reply with honesty, modesty, and truth. There's a description of the different tactics that people take in terms of deception and feigning, cooperation, and otherwise. But guidance of having, again, patience and perseverance and recognizing that truth prevails. Truth is eventually revealed. For those who endeavor truth and to navigate beyond the temptations, 32 ayat, Surah ayat 32. What is the life of this world but play and amusement? But best is the home in the hereafter for those who are righteous. Will ye not then understand? We know indeed the grief which their words do cause thee. It is not thee they reject, it is the signs of Allah which the wicked condemn. Further on in Surah 35, Ayat 35. If their spurning is hard on thy mind, yet if thou wert able to seek a tunnel in the ground or a ladder to the skies and bring them a sign, what benefit? If it were Allah's will, Allah could gather them together onto true guidance. So be not thou amongst those who are swayed by ignorance and impatience. Those who listen in truth will be sure will accept. As to the dead, Allah will guide, Allah will raise them up, then will they be turned onto Allah. So the guidance is to abstain from trying to conquer others through argumentation to convince them, simply to present, to share the righteousness, and have patience and trust of the eventual acceptance, one way or another, of that honesty and righteousness. And again, within many of these ayat, there are many aphorisms, many maxims, proverbs or proverb-like proclamations and guidance to provide that encouragement. There's further assurance amidst the intangible experience. Again, when talking about it being a matter of faith, there is oftentimes people are looking for signs and proof of the rewards and the efficacy of doing benevolence. But there's also the guidance here of having patience and assurance of the faith, even without that tangible temporal evidence that can be seen or heard or otherwise. 59, ayat 59. With Allah are the keys of the unseen, the treasures of that none knoweth but Allah. Allah knoweth whatever there is on the earth and in the sea. Not a leaf doth fall but with Allah's knowledge. There is not a grain in the darkness or depths of the earth, nor anything fresh or dry, green or withered, but is inscribed in a record clear to those who can read. It is Allah who doth take your souls by night, and hath knowledge of all that ye have done by day. By day doth Allah raise you up again, that a term appointed be fulfilled. In the end unto Allah will be your return. Then will Allah show you the truth of all that ye did. So there's communication of the continuity between heaven and earth. particularly in the experience of sleep, beyond our immediate cognition and recollection, and amidst the hints and the understanding and the indication. Got further guidance again, specifically 68 ayat 68. When thou seest men engaged in vain discourse about our signs, turn away from them unless they turn to a different theme. So it's just a matter of not participating. Further on, 69, 69, on their account no responsibility falls on the righteous, but their duty is to remind them that they may learn to fear Allah. Leave alone those who take their religion to be mere play and amusement and are deceived by the life of this world, but proclaim to them this truth, that every soul delivers itself to ruin by its own acts. It will find for itself no protector or intercessor except Allah. If it offered every ransom or reparation, none will be accepted. Such is the end of those who deliver themselves to ruin by their own acts. They will have, continues further describing the consequences of that. And guidance for regular prayer to help cultivate that mindfulness and awareness and trust and assurance of that continuity and balanced justice. Again, utilizing the natural universe as example of that balance, and also revealing that balance, the secrets, the nuances, the small details and miracles that exist within the natural universe that further convey and exemplify the balance. So, 73, it is Allah who created the heavens and the earth in true proportions. The day Allah saith, be, behold, it is. Allah's word is the truth. Allah's will be the dominion of the day. The trumpet will be blown. Allah knoweth its unseen as well as that which is open, for Allah is the wise, well acquainted with all things. Then there's reference to Abraham Avinu, a narrative concerning the challenge that Abraham Avinu provides towards the practice of worshipping idols. And then there's the description of Yitzhak and Yaakov and Noach, and actually the affirmation of the lineage of Yitzhak. 83, 83, that was the reasoning about us which we gave to Abraham to utilize against his people. We raised whom we will, degree after degree, for thy Lord is full of wisdom and knowledge. We gave him Yitzhak and Yaakov, all three were guided, and before him we guided Noach, and amongst his progeny, David, Solomon, Job, Yosef, Moshe, and Aaron. Thus do we reward those who do benevolence. And it continues on, and Zechariah and John and Jesus and Elias, all in ranks of the righteous, and Ishmael and Elisha and Jonas and Lot, and to all we gave favor above the nations. So there's affirmation of the continuity of this message amidst the respective messengers. And then we have further reference to nature, 95. It is Allah who causeth the seed grain and the date stone to split and sprout. Allah causeth the living to issue from the dead, and Allah is the one to cause the dead to issue from the living. That is Allah. Then how are ye deluded away from the truth? It is Allah it is that cleaveth the daybreak from the dark. Allah makes the night for rest and tranquility, and the soleil and moon for the reckoning of time. Such is the judgment of and ordering of Allah, the exalted in power, the omniscient. It is Allah who maketh the stars as beacons for you, that ye may guide yourselves with their help through the dark spaces of land and sea. We detail our signs for people who know. It is Allah who hath produced you from a single person. Here is a place of sojourn and a place of departure. We detail our signs for people who understand. It is Allah who sendeth down rain from the skies, with With it we produce vegetation of all kinds. From some we produce green crops, out of which we produce grain, heaped up at harvest. Out of the date palm and its sheaths or spathes come clusters of dates, hanging low and near. And then there are gardens of grapes and olives and pomegranates, each similar in kind, yet different in variety. When they begin to bear fruit, feast your eyes with the fruit and the ripeness thereof. Behold, in these things there are signs for people who believe. Further in Siente 101, to Allah's due the primal origin of the heavens and the earth. How can Allah have a son when Allah hath no consort? Allah created all things, and Allah hath full knowledge of all things. Again, we're addressing the source of origination, the ultimate reality, the ultimate oneness of the universe. Allah. There's description of continuing contentions and responsiveness, and there's further reference to the angels and the celestial realm in response to the contentions. And again, guidance of having patience and not feeling the responsibility of having to conquer the disbelief of others, but simply share and have trust that genuine sharing is what is dutiful in that process of eventual manifestation of truth. The word, 115, the word of thy Lord doth find its fulfillment in truth and in justice. None can change Allah's word, for Allah is the one who heareth and knoweth all. Reference again to dietary behavior. Reference to cattle and crops, the abundance as well as the balance, sharing. Again, reference to Allah being creator of all the provisions of life. It is Allah who produceth gardens with trellises and without, and dates and tilth with produce of all kinds, and olives and pomegranates similar in kind and different in variety. Eat of their fruit in their season, but render the dues that are proper on the day that the harvest is gathered. But waste not by excess, for Allah loveth not the wasters. That's Siente 41, 141. So there's this description of nature, but also as miraculous, but also as part of the continuity of the continuation of life, consumption, and the appropriate balance and modesty and moderation within this process. Again, righteousness towards orphans, being just in stewardship and authority. So the Surah Al-An'am number 6 concludes with verse Ayat 165, 165. It is Allah who hath made you Allah's agents, inheritors of the earth. Allah hath raised you in ranks, some above others, that Allah may try you in the gifts that Allah hath given you. For thy Lord is quick in punishment, yet Allah is indeed all forgiving, most merciful. The next surah, Siete, is Al-Araf, which is translated as the heights. It begins again with Alif Lam Mim Sad. And then the second verse, Ayat, is a book revealed unto thee, so that thy heart be oppressed no further by any difficulty on that account, that with it thou mightest warn the erring and teach the believers. Follow, O men, the revelation given to you unto you from your Lord, and follow not as friends or protectors other than Allah. Little it is ye remember of admonition. How many towns have we destroyed for their sins? Our punishment took them on a sudden by night, or whilst they slept for their afternoon rest. So then it describes those occasions further. So now it describes also the authority that comes with the message. When one is provided with truth, then there's authority, there's responsibility, and so here's some of the guidance of that experience. Beginning with numero seis, number 6. Then shall we question those to whom our message was sent, and those by whom we sent it. And verily we shall recount their whole story with knowledge, for we were never absent at any time or place. The balance of the day will be true to a nicety. Those whose scale of benevolence will be heavy will prosper. Those whose scale will be light will find their souls in perdition, for that they wrongfully treated our signs. It is we who have placed you with authority on earth and provided you therein with means for the fulfillment of your life. Small are the thanks that ye give. Then there's reference to Adam. With 11, it is we who created you and gave you shape. Then we bade the angels bow down to Adam, and they bowed down. Not so Iblis, he refused to be of those who bowed down. That's referring to the angel Iblis, also known in English as Satan, who refuses to take a lower seat to mankind because of the greater power because of the greater power that Iblis perceives, the haughtiness, the arrogance within himself compared to mankind. Then this is where Iblis describes the vengeance towards mankind of being a continual tempter and corrupting mankind because of the envy that Iblis experiences. So this is the narrative that is communicated within Torah as well. Again, reference to purpose of life and guidance in life. 29. Say, my Lord hath commanded justice, and that ye set your whole selves to Allah at every time and place of prayer, and call upon Allah, making your devotion sincere as in Allah's sight. Such as Allah created you in the beginning, so shall ye return. So again, there's this continuing guidance concerning responsibility with authority, being just, having purposefulness, and the accountability with that responsibility. There are many benefits that come with responsibility with authority on this earth, and it can be very easy to shirk the responsibility, to just accept the gifts and become arrogant and selfish. So the guidance is to stay focused, to be just, to recognize there's a greater purpose. There's a greater purpose to one's work and one's life. There's a greater purpose to the authority. And to be continually mindful of that. Prayer is one way in which to strengthen that mindfulness. Another ayat that provides some resonance and assurance is 42. But those who believe and work righteousness, no burden do we place on any soul but that which it can bear. They will be companions of the garden, therein to dwell forever. So amidst all the challenges, temptation, pain, There's only provided as much as one can bear in each day. And then we have amidst these proclamations of authority, there is again the reference of nature and then the relationship. 54. Your guardian Lord is Allah, who created the heavens and the earth in 6 days and is firmly established on the throne of authority. Allah dwelt the night as a veil over the day, each seeking the other in rapid succession. Allah created the soleil, the moon, and the stars, all governed by laws under Allah's command. Is it not Allah's to create and to govern? Blessed be Allah, the cherisher and sustainer of the worlds. Call on your Lord with humility and in private, for Allah loveth not those who trespass beyond bounds. Do no mischief on the earth after it hath been set in order, but call on Allah with fear and longing in your hearts, for the mercy of Allah is always near to those who do benevolence. It is Allah who sendeth like the winds, like heralds of glad tidings, going before Allah's mercy. When they have carried the heavy laden clouds, we drive them to a land that is dead, make rain to descend thereon, and produce every kind of harvest therewith. Thus shall we raise up the dead, perchance ye may remember. So continuing on, from the land that is clean and benevolent, by the will of its cherisher springs up produce, rich after its kind. But from the land that is bad springs up nothing but that which is stingy. Thus do we explain the signs by various symbols to those who are grateful. And in a very strictly scientific sense, this notion of creation, the abiding by the will of Allah in terms of the elements of nature, can be understood simply as the laws of physics. And additionally, and having a further transcendent understanding and awareness, even acceptance of those very secular notions of the laws of physics and the intricacies therein, but also the congruencies, particularly as it merges with one's own personal sentience and what the sentience that one observes beyond one's personal self. And the law and understanding that again, laws of gravity, and additionally that just being all part of one continuity, one ultimate singularity. So from this, there is the narrative of Noah and the trials of Noah, the ark. There's reference to the Talmud people that are described within the Qur'an repeatedly. The narrative of Salih, the Madian people, and Shuaib. So reference again to all the different people who are provided with a message, and how those individuals, how those messengers are received by the contemporaries. There's a context to the contemporary experience that is had during the period of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, as well as at this moment. The narrative of Moshe Rabbeinu and Pharaoh is also shared here. And the narrative of Moshe Rabbeinu continues considerably through this surah, and the exodus from Mitzrayim, from Egypt. Then there is the description of, again, the construction of the calf, the golden calf. further description of narratives within within the life of Moshe Rabbeinu, his birth, and further reference to Shabbat, reference to the covenant that is established, and then amidst these narratives, there is another description of creation or procreation in 789, ayat 189. It is Allah who created you from a single person and made his mate of like nature in order that he might dwell with her in love. When they are united, she bears a light burden and carries it about unnoticed. When she grows heavy, they both pray to God, to Allah, their Lord, saying, "If thou givest us a benevolent child, we vow we shall ever be grateful." Then it describes how when the blessing arrives, then there's less appreciation and less follow through on the part of those who are asking for the blessing. Further description of those who are rejecting of the message. In 198, it says, "If thou callest them to guidance, they hear not. Thou wilt see them looking at thee, but they see not. Hold to forgiveness, command what is right, and turn away from the ignorant." So then, in concluding Surah Al-Araf, number 7, number 7, it says, with verse 205, "And do thou, O reader, bring thy Lord to remembrance in thy very soul, with humility and in reverence, with loudness in words, in the matan and evenings, in the matins, in the mornings and evenings, and be thou not of those who are unheedful. Those who are near to thy Lord disdain not to do Allah worship. They celebrate Allah's praises and bow down before Allah." And that is the conclusion of Surah 7. And then there's the beginning of Surah 8, which is entitled Al-Anfal, and the English translation is the spoils of war. Verse 1, ayat 1 begins, "They ask thee concerning things taken as spoils of war. Say, such spoils are at the disposal of Allah and the Apostle, so fear Allah and keep straight the relations between yourselves. Obey Allah and Allah's Apostle if ye do believe. For believers are those who, when Allah is mentioned, feel a tremor in their hearts, and when they hear Allah's signs rehearsed, find their faith strengthened and put all their trust in their Lord. Who establish regular prayers and spend freely out of the gifts we have given them for sustenance. Such in truth are the believers. They have grades of dignity with their Lord and forgiveness and generous sustenance." So again, amidst the successes, there are challenges to continue to be modest and honest. And there's reference to the description of the strengthening of faith, and to recognize that process, to remember that, and to be continually mindful and continuing on. Again, there's a number of references to temporal experiences that the Ummah experiences during that period, 1400 years ago, as evidence of the spiritual path that the Ummah is being guided through. Call to mind, this is ayat 26, "Call to mind when you were a small band, despised through the land, and afraid that men might despoil and kidnap you. But Allah provided you a safe asylum for you, strengthened you with Allah's aid, and gave you benevolent things for sustenance, that ye might be grateful." And then further guidance concerning the conflict then receiving the bounties, the treasures from the war, how to provide that appropriately. The different guidance that's provided through the dreams as well as directly, and then reference to previous experiences. Pharaoh is referenced here specifically. So again, particularly concerning the conflict, 58, 58 says, if thou fearest treachery, 57, if ye gain mastery over them in war, disperse with them those who follow them, that they may remember. Later on in 61, it says, but if the enemy incline towards peace, do thou also incline towards peace, and trust in Allah, for Allah is the one that heareth and knoweth all things. So again, it's a matter of defense and abstaining from being initiating conflict and being bent on conquest. And then those who are taken captive, providing such individuals with guidance and inspiration. Pragmatic guidance in terms of self-protection. 73, 73. The unbelievers are protectors one of another. Unless ye do this, protect each other, there would be tumult and oppression on earth and great mischief. Continuing on, and this concludes the surah. Those who believe and adopt exile and fight for the faith in the cause of Allah, as well as those who give them asylum and aid, these are all in very truth the believers. For them is the forgiveness of sins and a provision most generous. And those who accept faith subsequently and adopt exile and fight for the faith in your company, they are of you. But kindred by blood have prior rights against each other in the book of Allah. Verily, Allah is well acquainted with all things. Then we continue on to Surah 9, which is At-Tawbah, which also is known as Barat, and it translates as immunity. And it begins, a declaration of immunity from Allah and Allah's apostle to those of the pagans with whom ye have contracted mutual alliances. Go ye then for 4 months backwards and forwards as ye will throughout the land, but know that ye cannot frustrate Allah by your falsehood, but that Allah will cover with shame those who reject Allah. So in this process, there are treaties that are brokered with those who don't believe, who are not subscribing to the teachings that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is providing. But at the same time, there's diplomacy and ability to coexist amidst the differences. That's further shared here in verse 4. But the treaties are not dissolved with those pagans with whom ye have entered into alliance, and who have not subsequently failed you in aught, nor aided anyone against you. So fulfill your engagements with them to the end of their term, for Allah loveth the righteous. So there's that propensity of even contracting and forming treaties and agreements with those who believe in differences or differently. Those treaties are not submissions and not acquiescence. It's dutiful, equitable agreements, and not just acquiescing to oppression. Then here there's specific guidance concerning alliances and allegiance, particularly concerning family, which is a very involved and challenging reconciliation about allegiance, particularly from the culture that Islam emerges from within the Middle East temporarily. Here in Ayat 23, it says, O ye believe, take not for protectors your fathers and your brothers, if they love infidelity above faith. If any of you do so, they do wrong. Say, if it be that your fathers, your sons, your brothers, your mates, or your kindred The wealth that ye have gained, the commerce in which ye fear a decline, or the dwellings in which ye delight, are dearer to you than Allah, or Allah's apostle, or the striving in Allah's cause. Then wait until Allah brings about Allah's decision, and Allah guides not the rebellious. There's further specific references to some of the contentions during the period and guidance concerning that. Reference to Jews and Christians. There's the establishment of calendar with verse 36. Again, a lot of formidable calling up, spurring the faithful to stand appropriately against aggressions and corruption. Description of those who ask not to fight and ask for exemption. Those who are wealthy and try to gain influence with that wealth. And here's where there's the description of where zakat is employed. It says in verse or ayat 60, alms are for the poor and the needy and those employed to administer the funds, for those whose hearts have been recently reconciled to truth, for those in bondage and in debt in the cause of Allah, and for the wayfarer. Thus is it ordained by Allah, and Allah is full of knowledge and wisdom. There are others too that are articulated as recipients, orphans, widows, and further. So there's an initial listing or partial listing. Again, description of those who are practicing malevolence and the consequences, those who practice benevolence, and the reassuredness of the redemption of that striving. Again, with 85, nor let their wealth nor their following and sons dazzle thee. Allah's plan is to punish them with these things in this world, and that their souls may perish in their very denial of Allah. So again, focusing on the higher purpose within life rather than the high pleasures of life. There's the description that amongst the believers within the community, there being dissension, those who don't want to devote themselves or risk themselves in the cause of protecting the community, and the prescription of how to discern valid claims and the consequence of protocols concerning those who are simply being deceitful. There is guidance concerning prayers for others, what is appropriate, what is inappropriate, concerning what others are doing, what others are experiencing. And then further reference to the validity of the Quran that is provided through the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it concludes by stating, "Now hath come unto you an apostle from amongst yourselves. It grieves him that ye should perish. Ardently anxious is he over you. To the believers is he most kind and merciful. But if they turn away, say, Allah sufficeth me. There is none other deity but Allah. On Allah is my trust. Allah is the Lord of the throne of glory supreme." Ayat 128 and 129, 128 to 129. And that concludes the Surah Tawbah number 9, and Surah 10. Yes, Yunus is the title, and is also the English name of Yonah or Jonah. Begins Alif Lam Ram. These are the ayats of the Book of Wisdom. Is it a matter of wonderment to men that we have sent our inspiration to a man from amongst themselves, that he should warn mankind of their danger and give the benevolent news to the believers that they have before their Lord the lofty rank of truth? But say the unbelievers, this is indeed an evident sorcerer. Reference to creation, and then returning to Allah, the cycle. Again, the alternation of night and day. The alternation of benevolent fortune, malevolent fortune, or adverse fortune, and how man responds accordingly. Then reference to nature again. The likeness of 24. The likeness of the life of the present is as the rain which we send down from the skies. By its mingling arises the produce of the earth, which provides food for men and animals. It grows till the earth is clad with its golden ornaments and is decked out in beauty. The people to whom it belongs think they have all powers of disposal over it. There reaches it our command by night or by day, and we make it like a harvest, clean mown, as if it had not flourished only the day before. Thus do we explain the signs in detail for those who reflect. But Allah doth call to the home of peace. Allah doth guide whom Allah pleaseth to a way that is straight. To those who do right is a benevolent reward, yea, further than in measure. No darkness nor shame shall cover their faces. They are companions of the garden. They will abide therein for aye. Again, the binaries of cause and effect, selfishness and altruism, and as well as the continuity of the cycle of life as it's experienced within the natural universe, through the seasons, through the rains, through the droughts, through the harvests, and further. Further reference to the Qur'an. Reference to the sharing of apostles in previous days. Further guidance and communication of support. 63rd Sittan Thras. Those who believe and constantly guard against evil, for them are glad tidings in the life of the present and in the hereafter. No change can there be in the words of Allah. This is indeed the supreme felicity. Let not their speech grieve thee, for all power and honor belong to Allah. It is Allah who heareth and knoweth all things. Behold, verily to Allah belong all creatures in the heavens and on earth. What do they... And further on, in terms of the binary and the transcendence. There's the reference to Moshe Rabbeinu. Again, communication with Pharaoh, Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron, Kohen Gadol. Reference to contemporary challengers and the doubts and disbelief. And then the concluding ayat, beginning with 108, 108, is say, O ye men, now truth hath reached you from your Lord. Those who receive guidance do so for the benefit of their own souls. Those who stray do so to their own loss. And I am not set over you to arrange your affairs. Follow thou the inspiration sent unto thee, and be patient and constant till Allah decides, for Allah is the best to decide. Continuing on with Surah Hud, numero 11, and it's the English title is The Prophet Hud. It begins Alif Lam Ram. This is a book with verses basic or fundamental of established meaning, further explained in detail from one who is wise and well acquainted with all things. It teacheth that ye should worship none but Allah. Say, verily I am sent unto you from Allah to warn and to bring glad tidings. Again, additional proclamations of the message. The binary of belief and disbelief, creation, reference to creation, accusations from disbelievers towards or against the message and the proclamation as being contrived, and just the recognition of the eventual prevailing of truth. 23. But those who believe and work righteousness and humble themselves before their Lord, they will be companions of the garden to dwell therein for aye. Reference to Noach. And the narrative of the ark. There is the reference to the narrative of the odd people and Hud. Reference to the Talmud people and Salih. Then there's the narrative of Abraham Avinu and the narrative of the birth of Yitzhak Avinu. Then there is the narrative of Shuaib and the Madian people. Then there is the narrative of Moshe Rabbeinu. So these are the messages that are referenced at the earlier part of the Qur'an, and then this particular surah provides further description of each as part of the succession of revelation. And the concluding ayat within the surah is 123, to Allah do belong the unseen secrets of the heavens and the earth, and to Allah goeth back every affair for decision. Then worship Allah and put thy trust in Allah, and thy Lord is not unmindful of all that ye do. And so the next surah is numero 12, which is titled Yosef, or Yusuf, Joseph. It begins again, Alif Lam Ram. These are the symbols of or verses of the perspicuous book. We have sent it down as an Arabic Qur'an in order that ye may learn wisdom. We do relate unto thee that most beautiful of stories, in that we reveal to thee this portion of the Qur'an. Before this thou too wast amongst those who knew it not. Behold, Yosef said to his far, O my far, I did see 11 stars, and the soleil and the moon. I saw them prostrate themselves to me. It continues on in giving the narrative of Yosef, actually in further detail. One of the most detailed narratives that the Quran shares from also the Torah. So there's an interesting affinity that exists within the Quran towards this particular personage of Yosef Avinu. And so that's the entirety of the surah. Is the narrative of Yosef Avinu, the betrayal of the brothers, sold into slavery in Egypt, rising through the ranks, and then hosting his family during the drought. During the famine, and the concluding ayah is. There is in their stories instruction for men endued with understanding. It is not a tale invented, but a confirmation of what went before it, a detailed exposition of all things, and a guide and a mercy to any such as believe. Then continue on to Surah 13. Arad, and the English title, The Thunder. It begins Alif Lam Mim. These are the signs or verses of the book. That which hath been revealed unto thee from thy Lord is the truth, but most men believe not. Allah is Allah who raised the heavens without any pillars that ye can see, is firmly established on the throne of authority. Allah has subjected the soleil and the moon to Allah's law. Each one runs its course for a term appointed. Allah doth regulate all affairs, explaining the signs in detail, that ye may believe with certainty in the meeting with your Lord. And it is Allah who spread out the earth and settled thereon mountains, standing firm and flowing rivers, and fruit of every kind. Allah made in pairs, 2 and 2. Allah draweth the night as a veil over the day. Behold, verily in these things there are signs for those who consider. And in the earth are tracts diverse, though neighboring, and gardens of vines, and fields sown with grain, and palm trees growing out of single roots or otherwise, watered with the same water. Yet some of them we make further excellent than others to eat. Behold, verily in these things there are signs for those who understand. It continues on, if thou dost marvel at their want of faith, strange is their saying, when we are actually dust, shall we indeed then be in a creation renewed? They are those who deny their Lord. They are those round whose necks will be yokes of servitude. They will be companions of the fire, to dwell therein for aye. So there's reference to the primordial nature of the natural universe, the revealing of the cycles, and how that primordial nature of the universe, the natural universe, applies even to each life in a theological sense. It says again in 8:8, God, Allah doth know what every female womb doth bear, by how much the wombs fall short of their time or number, or do exceed. Every single thing is before Allah's sight in due proportion. Allah knoweth the unseen and that which is open. Allah is the great, the most high. It is the saying to Allah, whether any of you conceal his speech or declare it openly, whether he lie hid by night or walk forth freely by day. For each such person there are angels in succession before and behind him. They guard him by command of Allah. Verily never will Allah change the condition of a people until they change it themselves with their own souls. But when once Allah willeth a people's punishment, there can be no turning it back, nor will they find besides Allah any to protect. Transformation begins within the spirit of an individual, and there's that responsibility, but then there's also that nurturing, that guidance, that inspiration. And again, this is shared through the experience of the natural universe as well. Further reference to the natural universe, relationship with prayer. Those who patiently persevere, seeking the continence of their Lord, establish regular prayers, spend out of the gifts we have bestowed for their sustenance secretly and openly, and turn off evil with benevolence. For such as these is the final attainment of the eternal home, gardens of perpetual bliss. They shall enter there, as well as the righteous amongst their fars, their spouses, and their offspring, and angels shall enter unto them from every gate with the salutation, peace unto you, for that ye persevered in patience. Now, how excellent is the final home. So again, even beyond the carrot and stick, it's a reassurance. It's a reassurance of the continuity and the inevitability, as encouragement. Even just in talking about garden and rivers, it's actually a call of the memory, of remembrance, and actually of the past and of creation, of origin, but also of the eternal and of what exists at this very moment, even within ourselves. This surah concludes with, the unbelievers say, no apostle art thou, say enough for a witness between me and you is Allah, and such as have knowledge of the book. And continuing on to Surah 14, which is titled Ibrahim Ar-Raham, Alif Lam Rem, a book which we have revealed unto thee in order that thou mightest lead mankind out of the depths of darkness into light by the leave of their Lord, to the way of Allah, the exalted in power, worthy of all praise. Of Allah, to whom belong all things in the heaven and on earth, but alas for the unbelievers, for a terrible penalty for their unfaith will bring them. Those who love life of this world further than the hereafter, who hinder men from the path of Allah and seek therein something crooked, they are astray by a long distance. We sent not an apostle except to teach in the language of his own people, in order to make things clear to them. Now Allah leaves straying those whom Allah pleases and guides whom Allah pleases, and Allah is exalted and powerful of wisdom. There's a reference to Moshe Rabbeinu. So, additional reference, parable of from Natural Universe, 23, verse ayat 23. But those who believe and work righteousness will be admitted to gardens beneath which rivers flow, to dwell therein for aye with the leave of their Lord. Their greeting therein will be peace. Seest thou not how Allah sets forth a parable, a benevolent word like a benevolent tree, whose root is firmly fixed and its branches reach to the heavens? It brings forth its fruit at all times by the leave of its Lord. So Allah sets forth parables for men in order that they may receive admonition. So again, there's like the explicit guidance of the literal manifestation of garden through benevolent words, through benevolent acts. So it's other than simply just a transcendent parable or guidance or encouragement, but earthly guidance of cultivating this garden today at this moment through benevolence, through altruism, honesty, righteousness, justice. 32 says, it is Allah who hath created the heavens and the earth, and sendeth down rain from the skies, and with it bringeth out fruits there wherewith to feed you. It is Allah who hath made the ships subject to you, that they may sail through the sea by Allah's command, and the rivers also hath Allah made subject to you. And Allah hath made subject to you the soleil and the moon, both diligently pursuing their courses, and the night and the day hath Allah also made subject to you. And Allah giveth you all that ye ask for, but if ye count the favors of Allah, never will ye be able to number them. Verily, man is given up to injustice and ingratitude. Then there is the reference to Abraham Avinu, and the surah concludes with, here is a message for mankind, let them take warning therefrom, and let them know that Allah is no other than one Allah. Let man of understanding take heed. And then Surah 15 is titled Al-Hijra, which in English translates to the Rocky Tract. It begins Alif Lam Ram. These are the ayats of revelation of a Qur'an that makes things clear. Again and again will those who disbelieve wish that they had bowed to Allah's will in Islam. Leave them alone to enjoy the benevolent things of this life and to please themselves. Let false hope amuse them. Soon will knowledge undeceive them. Never did we destroy a population that had not a term decreed and assigned beforehand. And again, it continues on to describe previous experiences of the sharing of truth, the rejection of truth, and then the consequence of the rejection. And the earth we have spread out like a carpet set thereon, mountains firm and immovable, and produce therein all kinds of things in due balance. And we have provided therein means of subsistence for you and for those whose subsistence ye are not responsible. And there is not a thing but its source, and treasures inexhaustible are with us, but we only send down thereof in due and ascertainable measures. And we send the fecundating winds, then cause the rain to descend from the sky, therewith providing you with water in abundance, though ye are not the guardians of its stores. And verily it is we who give life and who give death. It is we who remain inheritors after all else passes away. Continuing on, continuing on. To us are known those of you who hasten forward and those who lag behind. Assuredly it is thy Lord who will gather them together, for Allah is perfect in wisdom and knowledge. We created man from stone and clay, from mud molded into shape, and the jinn race we had created before from fire and of a scorching wind. And so that's the description of the jinn, which is described as another type of being on this earth, similar to humanity but different. Again, made from fire whilst man is made from clay. It continues on. Behold, thy Lord said to the angels, I am about to create man from stone and clay, from mud molded into shape. When I fashion him in due proportion and breathe into him of my spirit, fall ye down in obeisance unto him. So the angels prostrated themselves, all of them together, and not so Iblis. He refused to be amongst those who prostrated themselves. So again, it's the narrative of Iblis and the arrogance, the jealousy, the rebellion. 45 says, the righteous will be amidst gardens and fountains of clear flowing water. Their greeting will be, enter ye here in peace and security, and we shall remove from their hearts any lurking sense of injury. They will be brothers joyfully facing each other on thrones of dignity. There no sense of fatigue shall touch them, nor shall they ever be asked to leave. Tell my servants that I am indeed the all-forgiving, most merciful. Then there is the narrative of Abraham Avinu, the narrative of Lot, his nephew. There's the narrative of the companions of the rocky track. And the surah concludes with Novena 7. We do indeed know how thy heart is distressed at what they say, but celebrate the praises of thy Lord, and be of those who prostrate themselves in adoration, and serve thy Lord until there come unto thee the hour that is certain. Going on to Surah 16:16, Anal, which is also known in English as the bee. It begins, inevitable cometh to pass the command of Allah, seek ye not then to hasten it. Glory to Allah, and distant is Allah above having the partners they ascribe onto Allah. Allah doth send down Allah's angels with inspiration of Allah's command to such of Allah's servants as Allah pleaseth, saying, warn man that there is none other deity but I, so do your duty unto me. Allah has created the heavens and the earth for just ends. Distant is Allah above having the partners they ascribe to Allah. Allah has created man from a sperm drop, and behold, this same man becomes an open disputer. And then there's other description of creation, the other elements of other beings of creation. the natural universe. And the unappreciation for the provisions from the natural universe. Knowledge of the seen and the unseen. Distinction between the righteous and the unrighteous, the just and the unjust. Reference to the garden. Description of those who leave homes and the comforts in order to strive in the cause of Allah, the cause of justice and honesty and righteousness. Further reference to the natural universe, the rains, the produce that's provided from the rains. Companions, the relations of family. Again, description of motherhood, pregnancy, the wombs being brought forth from mothers. And the guidance of the covenant of justice, the responsibility, the bond that exists within justice, of sharing, providing for family, those in need. And that straying from that bond, that justice, is rebelliousness. Excuse me. A reference again to dietary protocols. Reference to the kashrut within the practice of Israel. Then there's the conclusion of the surah, which is beginning with 125, 125 ayat. Invite all to the way of thy Lord with wisdom and beautiful preaching, and argue with them in the ways that are best and most gracious. And for thy Lord knoweth best who have strayed from Allah's path, and who receive guidance. And if you do catch them out no worse than they catch you out. But if ye show patience, that is indeed the best course for those who are patient. And do thou be patient, for thy patience is but from Allah, nor grieve over them, and distress not thyself because of their plots. For Allah is with those who restrain themselves and who do benevolence. And that is the conclusion of the surah. And going on to 17, Bani Israel. So this is the translation of the children of Israel. And this is, again, referencing specifically the children of Israel. Begins, glory to Allah who did take Allah's servant for a journey by night from the sacred masjid to the furthest mosque, to the furthest masjid, whose precincts we did bless, in order that we might show him some of our signs, for Allah is the one who heareth and seeth all things. Describes references of Moshe Rabbeinu in the Torah, the children of Israel, and it goes into the history and the ebbs and flows, the backs and forths of the path of the children of Israel. And amidst this, it also shares a basic summary of the basic tenets of Islam in terms of behavioral guidance and ethics. So it begins here with 23. Thy Lord hath decreed that ye worship none but Allah, and that ye be kind to parents, whether one or both of them attain old age in thy life. Say not to them a word of contempt, nor repel them, but address them in terms of honor. And out of kindness lower to them the wing of humility, and say, My Lord, bestow on them thy mercy, even as they cherished me in childhood. Your Lord knoweth best what is in your hearts. If you do deeds of righteousness, verily Allah is most forgiving to those who turn to Allah again and again in true penitence, and render to the kindred their due rights, as also to those in want and to the wayfarer, but squander not your wealth in a manner of a spendthrift. Verily, spendthrifts are brothers of the evil ones, and the evil one is to his Lord by Allah ungrateful. And even if thou hast to turn away from them in pursuit of the mercy from thy Lord, which thou dost expect, yet speak to them a word of easy kindness. Make not thy hand tied like a stingy one's to thy neck, nor stretch it forth to its utmost reach, so that thou become blameworthy and destitute. Verily, thy Lord doth provide sustenance in abundance for whom Allah pleaseth, and Allah provideth in just measure, for Allah doth know and regard all Allah's servants. Kill not your children for fear of want. We shall provide sustenance for them as well as for you. Verily, the killing of them is a great sin. Nor come nigh to adultery, for it is a shameful deed, and an evil opening the road to other evils. Nor take life which Allah has made sacred, except for just cause. And if anyone is slain wrongfully, we have given as their authority to mend kisses or to forgive, but let him not exceed bounds in the matter of taking life, for it is held by the law. Come not nigh to the orphan's property, except to improve it, until he attains the age of full strength, and fulfill every engagement, for every engagement will be inquired into on the day of reckoning. Give full measure when ye measure, and weigh with the balance that is straight, that is the most fitting, the most advantageous in the final determination. And pursue not that of which thou hast no knowledge, for every act of hearing, or of seeing, or of feeling in the heart will be inquired into on the day of reckoning. Nor walk on the earth with insolence, for thou canst not rend the earth asunder, nor reach the mountains in height. So again, it's the very basic foundational ethics, but actually also reaffirming the commandments provided specifically within the 10 Commandments as well as within the Torah. Further reference to preceding warnings and the protocols concerning warnings and consequences of heeding and not heeding the warnings. Reference to Adam. Reference of man when he experiences trials, and then lack of appreciation after proceeding through those trials. Again, reference to Moshe Rabbeinu. And then the surah concludes with beginning with verse or ayat 110. Say, call upon Allah or call upon Rahman. By whatever name ye call upon Allah, it is well, for to Allah belong the most beautiful names. Neither speak thy prayer aloud, nor speak it in a low tone, but seek a middle course between. Say, praise be to Allah who begets no son and has no partner in Allah's dominion, nor needs Allah any to protect Allah from humiliation. Yea, magnify Allah for Allah's greatness and glory. Reference to the 99 beautiful names of Allah. And that's the conclusion of the surah. And then next is Surah Al-Kahf, which translates as the cave, number 18. Begins, praise be to Allah who hath sent to Allah's servants the book, and hath allowed therein no crookedness. Allah hath made it straight and clear in order that Allah may warn the faithless of a terrible punishment from Allah, and that Allah may give glad tidings to the believers who work righteous deeds, that they shall have a benevolent reward. So again, there's reference to the impermanence of creation. There's the narrative of people who are in a cave. Youths who are in a cave and are there for a long period of time and then awaken and then are returned into society. There's different interpretations of how many are in the cave and how long, some even hundreds of years. Ventral guidance is towards reconciliation. Again, reference to righteousness in the gardens. The waters, and the produce. The rains. The allurements of prosperity, including material wealth, sons. Again, the reference to Adam and the rebellion of Iblis, the arrogance of Iblis. The narrative of Moshe Rabbeinu. And this actually is a narrative between Moshe Rabbeinu and another messenger, where Moshe Rabbeinu is tried on 3 occasions of having patience with the individual without having difficulty understanding why the individual is doing what the individual is doing. There are further details about the specific trials. Basically, the person puts a hole into a boat of one person, and Moshe Rabbeinu says, why does he do that? On another occasion, the person fixes a wall, but then doesn't ask for compensation for doing that. And Moshe Rabbeinu asks why that is. On another occasion, the person kills a person walking along the path, and Moshe Rabbeinu says, why did you do that? So after the 3 occasions, the person explains each of the reasons why that happens, and then says that that's the end of the interaction because of lack of patience. The surah concludes with Siente 110 with saying, "Say, I am but a man like yourselves, but the inspiration has come to me that your God is one God. Whoever expects to meet his Lord, let him work righteousness, and in the worship of his Lord admit no one as partner." And continuing on into Surah 19, Surah Maryam, which is the translation as Mary, the mother of Jesus. It begins, Kaf Ha Ya Ein Sad. This is a recital of the mercy of the Lord to Allah's servant Zechariah. Behold, he cried to his Lord in secret, praying, O my Lord, infirm indeed are my bones, and the hair of my head doth glisten with gray. But never am I unblessed, O my Lord, in my prayer to thee. This is the narrative of Zechariah. And then the birth of John the Baptist, referred here as Yahya. Then there is the narrative of Mary, related in the book, this is 16, verse ayat 16. Related in the book the story of Mary when she withdrew from her family to a place in the east. She placed a screen to screen herself from them. Then we sent to her our angel, and he appeared before her as a man in all respects. So then the narrative continues similar as it is within the Gospels. There's the narrative of Avraham Avinu, Moshe Rabbeinu, Adam. And concluding with there is in the Quran the distinction of Allah being without a son. Chapter ayat 92, for it is not consonant with the majesty of Allah, most gracious, that Allah should beget a son. Not one of the beings in the heavens and the earth, but must come to Allah, most gracious, as a servant. Allah does take an account of them all and hath numbered them all exactly. Then later it continues by saying, 97, so have we made the Quran easy in thine own tongue, that with it thou mayest give glad tidings to the righteous and warnings to people given to contention. But how many countless generations before them have we destroyed? Canst thou find a single one of them now, or hear so much as a whisper of them? Then on to Surah Viente, Taha. So those are just letters. And it begins, Taha, we have not sent down the Quran to thee to be an occasion for thy distress, but only as an admonition to those who fear Allah. A revelation from Allah who created the earth and the heavens on high. Allah most gracious is firmly established on the throne of authority. To Allah belongs what is in the heavens and on earth, and all between them, and all beneath the soil. So then there's the narrative of Moshe Rabbeinu. When Moshe is guided to confront Pharaoh, there's the description of Moshe's birth, being put onto the river. The interaction with Pharaoh. The competition between Moshe Rabbeinu and the magicians of Pharaoh. Leadership of Aaron. There's the proclamation of the ultimate sovereignty of Elohim, and reference to Adam again. And the surah concludes, and if we had inflicted on them a penalty before this, they would have said, our Lord, if only thou hadst sent us an apostle, we should certainly have followed thy signs before we were humbled and put to shame. Say, each one of us is waiting. Wait ye therefore, and soon shall ye know who it is that is on the straight and even way, and who it is that it has received guidance. Surah 21, Al-Anbiya, or the prophets, begins, closer and closer to mankind comes the reckoning, yet they heed not, and they turn away. Never comes aught to them of a renewed message from their Lord, but they listen to it as in jest. Their hearts toying as with trifles, the wrongdoers conceal their private counsels, saying, is this one further than a man like yourselves? Will ye go to witchcraft with your own eyes? Say, my Lord knoweth every word spoken in the heavens and on earth. Allah is the one that heareth and knoweth all things. So again, it's that contention between the critics and those who are proclaiming a prophetic message. There is the description of the prevalence of truth, the prevailing of truth. All creatures being from Allah and continuing in the will of Allah. further description of the natural universe and the relationship it has with Allah. The provisions of the earth are with purpose. 47, Qur'an says, we shall set up scales of justice for the day of judgment, so that not a soul will be dealt with unjustly in the least. And if there be no further than the weight of a mustard seed, we will bring it to account, and enough are we to take account. And then there's again reference to Moshe Rabbeinu, Abraham Avinu, Lot, Noah, David and Solomon, Job, and additional messengers, Ishmael, Idris, Zulkifl, Zunun, and Zechariah. Gog and Magog. And amidst this, there's guidance about continuing the message, continuing and sharing the message. In Ayat 77, 107, it says, we sent thee not but as a mercy for all creatures. And it concludes later with 112, 112 by saying, well, I'll just continue the whole thing. 108 through 112 say, what has come to me by inspiration is that your God is one God. Will ye therefore bow to Allah's will in Islam? If they turn back, say, I have proclaimed the message to you all alike and in truth, but I know not whether that which ye are promised is near or distant. It is Allah who knows what is open in speech and what ye hide in your hearts. I know not but that it may be a trial for you and a grant of worldly livelihood to you for a time. Say, O my Lord, judge thou in truth. Our Lord, most gracious, is the one whose assistance should be sought against the blasphemies ye utter. And that is the conclusion of the surah. Continuing on to Surah 22, Al-Hajj, the pilgrimage. It begins, O mankind, fear your Lord, for the convulsion of the hour of judgment will be a thing terrible. The day ye shall see it, every mother giving suck shall forget her suckling babe, and every pregnant female shall drop her load unformed. Thou shalt see mankind as in a drunken riot, yet not drunk, but dreadful will be the wrath of Allah. Yet amongst men there are such as dispute about Allah without knowledge and follow every evil one obstinate in rebellion. So, again, rather challenging circumstances, conditions, and warning. Reference to creation, man being created from a leech-like clot and becoming flesh. The garden provided for those who practice righteousness. That includes the people of the book, Jews, Jewish scriptures, Sabians, Christians, Magians. Well, it says, those who believe in the Qur'an, those who follow the Jewish scriptures, and the Sabians, Christians, Magians, and polytheists, God, Allah will judge between them. So then there is the description of the masjid. And Abraham, behold, this is 26. Behold, we gave the site to Abraham of the sacred house, saying, associate not anything in worship with me, and sanctify my house for those who compass it round, or stand up, or bow, or prostrate themselves therein in prayer. and proclaim the pilgrimage amongst men. They will come to thee on foot and mounted on every kind of camel, lean on account of journeys through deep and distant mountain highways, that they may witness the benefits provided for them and celebrate the name of Allah through the days appointed over the cattle which Allah has provided for them for offering. Then eat ye thereof and feed the distressed ones in want. Then let them complete the rites prescribed for them, perform their vows, and again circumambulate the ancient house. Such is the pilgrimage. Whoever honors the sacred rites of Allah, for him it is benevolent in the sight of his Lord. Lawful to you for food in pilgrimage are cattle, except those mentioned to you as exceptions, but shun the abominations of idols and shun the word that is false. So then it goes further to describe the components of Hajj, offerings, description of the history preceding the Hajj, the challenges, guidance of regular prayer, again reference to Lot, and reference to preceding messengers Noah, Abraham, Moshe Rabbeinu. 52, verse 52 says, Never did we send an apostle or a prophet before thee, but when he framed a desire, Satan threw some vanity into his desire, but Allah will cancel anything vain that Satan throws in, and Allah will confirm and establish Allah's signs, for Allah is full of knowledge and wisdom. Again, continual challenges of modesty, humility, and truth, even when receiving guidance. Prescriptions of justice, balance, and then the relation between night and day amidst that communication of balance, and then also the communication of the rain, making the lands green. Again, that balance and purposefulness as well. And then specific reference to the religiosity, the religious practice of prayer, meditation, and justice accordingly. I'll read the concluding ayat here. 78 says, And strive in Allah's cause as ye ought to strive, with sincerity and under discipline. Allah has chosen you and has imposed no difficulties on you in religion. It is the cult of your Far Abraham. It is Allah who has named you Muslims, both before and in this revelation, that the apostle may be a witness for you, and ye be witnesses for mankind. So establish regular prayer, give regular charity, and hold fast to Allah. Allah is your protector, to the best to protect and the best to help. And that concludes Surah 22, and on to Surah 23. Al-Mu'minun, in English referred to as the believers. It begins, the believers must eventually win through. Those who humble themselves in their prayers, who avoid vain talk, who are active in deeds of charity, who abstain from sex, except with those joined to them in the marriage bond, or the captive whom their right hands possess, for in their case they are free from blame. But those whose desires exceed those limits are transgressors. Those who faithfully observe their trusts and their covenants, and who strictly guard their prayers, these will be the heirs who will inherit paradise. They will dwell therein forever. Then it continues on, Man did we create from a quintessence of clay, then we placed him as a drop of sperm in a place of rest firmly fixed. Then we made the sperm into a clot of congealed blood. Then of that clot we made a fetus lump. Then we made out of that lump bones and clothed the bones with flesh. Then we developed out of it another creature, so blessed be Allah, the best to create. After that, at length ye will die. Again, on the day of judgment will ye be raised up. And we have made above you 7 tracks, and we are never unmindful of our creation. And we send down water from the sky according to due measure, and we cause it to soak in the soil, and we certainly are able to drain it off with ease. With it we grow for you gardens of date palms and vines. In them have ye abundant fruits, and of them ye eat and have enjoyment. Also a tree springing out of Mount Sinai, which produces oil and relish for those who utilize it for food. So then from there, there's the description of the lineage of prophetic messages. Noah is specifically shared. The narrative of Noah is shared. Strong connection again with the nature of one's own personal existence and creation, as well as the aggregate of creation and nature, and ongoing relationship with the natural universe. The narrative of Moshe Rabbeinu is shared, again, with a challenge concerning Pharaoh. Again, there's the teaching 62. 62 says, Syndidos, on no soul do we place a burden greater than it can bear. Before us is a record which clearly shows the truth. They will never be wronged. So again, there's the guidance concerning the challenges, the doubts, and persevering through the doubts and challenges, the critiques. There's another maxim, repel evil with that which is best. We are well acquainted with the things they say. So again, amidst the challenges, rather than getting frustrated and devolving into a tit-for-tat type of situation of retribution and vengeance, or just insults and untruth, it's a matter of continuing to be strident with truth amidst the challenges and patience, perseverance. So again, that's Noventa 6, 96. Repel evil with that which is best. We are well acquainted with the things they say, and say, O my Lord, I seek refuge with thee from the suggestions of the evil ones. And I seek refuge with thee, O my Lord, lest they should come near me. And again, there's the guidance, the teaching of inevitable balance, justice, recognition of each's track record. And it concludes by stating, say, O my Lord, grant thou forgiveness and mercy, for thou art the best of those who show mercy. That is the conclusion of Surah Al-Mu'minun, 23, and the conclusion of this session. Alhamdulillah, Ar-Rahmani Ar-Rahim, Allah Wabhan, Dao Ke, Dao Fe Chang, Dao Min Ke, Min Fe Chang, Min Ja Rastafari. Deus nos te quies in celde Santa Fakita Numen Tum, Vaheguru Sanam. Baruch Ata Elohim, Eloheinu Melech Elam, Asher Katzanu B'Mitzvotav V'Tzivan V'Sok B'Divrei Torah. Amen. Kyrie eleison, Sefer Mastu, Savajigatahe, Sabe, Sata, Bavantu, Sukitata, Fagabir, Aquaba, Upendo Namani, Fakiri Nesalami, Chinta Dan Peraman, Liba of Mea Wumajaka, Ubuntu Shubanda Fakitka. Shashen, como sinida, domo arigato, pilama, yellow walk and talk, toko doko shingu, and go managat. God, we thank you for all that you bless us. Ata jam yat yata afanami, Mado, the home, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Amen. All thanks and praise to the Most High Elohim, blessed love and peace. Respect and honor to all our ancestors, prophets and sages, past and present, known and unknown. Respect and honor to His Majesty Haile Selassie I and Her Majesty Wazir Amanan. Blessed love and peace in Rastafari, one perfect love. Namaste, Assalamu alaikum, Mado.